Hi, welcome to the fourth and final episode of Lattice Training's home training series. In this episode, we're going to step things up once again. That's why I've been drafted in and Tom's having a rest day. So pay attention, keep in touch with the exercises and follow along with me. In this episode, we're going to be trying to push the exercises a little bit harder, so everything is going to be progressed that little bit more. We'll add in some slightly different variations and make sure that everything is taken up to the next notch of intensity. We're still going to use the 30 seconds of training versus 30 seconds of rest, well, rest being fingerboarding, and throughout this entire 20-minute session, you're going to try and do continuous exercise. I'll try and say the next exercise before it comes up, but please watch what I'm doing and try and keep up. In the last episode, we gave away a tension portable board like the one hanging behind me. In this episode, we've got something even more special. At some point, I'm going to give you the rules on how to win a Rab Microlight down jacket and a pair of Wild Country trousers. There won't be these exact trousers that I'm wearing because you don't really want them. They'll be sent to you directly and be the gender and size of your choice. As with all the other episodes, we're going to start off with a nice simple warm-up. I'll have expected you to already do some form of warm-up already, particularly working your fingers. But we're going to do this little bit of a warm-up just to make sure that you're really ready. It's 4 minutes long and we're looking at 4 different exercises for 30 seconds each. So we're going to be doing jogging on the spot, mountain climbers, shadow boxing, so air and hand punches, and then we're going to be doing jump pull-ups. So when the timer is ready, we're going to get going. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And jogging on the spot. So for me personally, having not done any running in a while, this is the bit I've been dreading the most. I know Tom's been doing this fast walking that you can do, but realistically it's quite good to get a bit more movement than that and start trying to jog. And the main thing you're looking for, nice pulse raiser, warm up the muscles and get your blood moving. So we're going to go into mountain climbers next. So that's in a plank position on the floor, in a presser position, and moving your legs and go. So in this position, trying to keep nice and low and continuous movement. If you want to go a bit slower, you can do, but the idea is to just keep jumping your legs one at a time. And we've got 10 seconds to go, and then we're going to go into shadow boxing. So that's punching the hands and arms up around your head in all different positions. 3, 2, 1, and go. I don't know if anyone saw years ago, Tom had a little mime made of him doing this to some good techno. And yeah, I don't want to see anything similar with me, thank you very much. So this is really good just to get your fingers moving, and I actually do this at a crag quite a bit, which makes you do look quite funny, but it's really, really good to get the blood going to your fingers and your arms. And we're going into jump pull-ups next, and go. So when we're doing this, you want to make sure that the pull-up bar isn't too high for you, because what you don't want to be doing is doing full pull-ups during this part of the warm-up. So really jumping off the ground, and then just pulling that last bit. And we're going to go back into jogging in 4 seconds. And go. So it gives you time for your arms to rest and make sure that you're ready for the next exercise. Whew. This is a good enough workout on its own, isn't it? So when we're watching the timer, good thing to make sure you're doing is keep checking it regularly. So in those exercises later on, when we're doing half and half, so 15 seconds of each, you need it to be nice and easy to see so you can switch at the right time. So into mountain climbers. So doing this exercise, if you struggle with your wrists at all, you can do this on your elbows as well, or even in an incline position a bit higher up. What you need to make sure you're doing though is pushing with the palms of your hands and not just letting your fingers cramp up. And going into shadow boxing again. It's really important in those positions to make sure that if you do suffer any pain in those joints, that you change the position and make sure that you're doing something slightly different to relieve the pressure. Because you're trying so hard and your heart's going, you tend not to notice it too much, but that's when you start to have aches and pains at the end of the session. And it's really worth adapting those for your particular needs. Okay, last bit. We're going to go into jump pull-ups once more. So I would say this is a really good exercise to do for anyone who's doing any dynamic bouldering just before you're about to pull on, or in the last bit of your warm-up, just to make sure that you're feeling ready, and it can just really get your biceps working one last time before it's time for you to go again. And 3, 2, 1, and we're done. So end of a 4-minute warm-up. We're gonna have a little rest, get ready for the next part of the workout. So we're gonna get ready to start the exercise. We've got the interval timer ready, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, using the fingerboard. I'm gonna put it down there so I can make sure I see, and I'll be able to tell you what the next exercise is before we start doing it. In this workout, we're just gonna use a mat on the floor and the fingerboard as before, and the pull-up bar. So start the timer off, 10-second warm-up. In this exercise, we're gonna start off with hanging leg raises, but we're gonna do a slight alteration and straighten our legs at the same time. So up and straighten the legs. So this is just gonna add a little bit of an extra element to that hanging leg raise, which you've already done. So try and keep nice and engaged all the way throughout. And you're gonna be nice, slow action as you're doing it. So the next exercise, going into a dead hang. So as before, we're using a nice comfortable grip like Tom. I'm using a half crimp grip position, and you're trying to keep it to a nice 4, 5 out of 10 RPE. So in the next exercise, we're gonna go into a press up position, and this time, what we're gonna try and do is do more of a typewriter action. So a little bit of a harder version of what we've done already. So onto the floor, and this time we're gonna go down one side and up the other. Repeat that the other way. And what we're trying to do is make our arms work a little bit harder, one side first, then the other. If your back's arching at all, you can do the same exercise on your knees as well to make it a little bit easier. So this next exercise, going for that same 90-degree lock off if you wanted to, and then half crimp, sort of 7 out of 10 RPE. I'm gonna use a half crimp again, but if you've got a portable fingerboard, you can either use that sort of in a 90-degree or straight arms, or if your fingerboard's quite high, I'd recommend just using it with straight arms. And switching positions at halfway, that's a little bit more than halfway. And then for the next exercise, we're gonna go to a lunge split squat. So this time what we're gonna do is go nice and wide, and we're gonna keep a straight body all the time. And what you're trying to do is extend that back leg and push the knee towards the ceiling. At halfway now, we're gonna switch and do the same the other way. What you're really trying to do with this is make sure that knee's going towards the ceiling, and you get really good DOMs in your hip flexors doing this, and in your quads. Okay, back to the fingerboard once more. So like Thomas showed you in the previous episode, you can adjust the load on this by either putting your body more under the fingerboard to make it harder, or more above your feet to make it easier. The next exercise we're gonna do is on the pull-up bar, and we're gonna do 90-degree lock-offs on one arm, but taking it in turns. So we can slide back to the side, and what we're gonna do is try and just alternate every 5 seconds from one side to the other, so you're trying to load it a little bit more. and back to the one arm hangs. So what you might have noticed then is me moving my feet a little bit. I was trying to breathe, so I didn't talk as much that time. So moving your feet just keeps you a little bit steady, and it's also keeping my core engaged, which is a really important factor when doing those positions. And switch, because what you don't want to do is start letting your body compromise your back arch, and you start to assume a bad position for your chest and shoulders. So next exercise is calf raises. So like before, we're going to do an isometric calf hold, but this time what we're going to do is just add a little bit of a squat into it. 15 seconds on each side. And really try and push down on the ball of your foot. It's quite easy for you to start to roll outwards, particularly if you're stronger in that position. But what you try and do is make sure you stay really upright on the ball of your foot. And that's going to be much more applicable to climbing movements. Back to two arm hangs. So this is the point when you really want to start getting a breather, and it's actually a really good exercise to get used to it in climbing, because when your body's tired, you're breathing hard after a hard crux, but you've got to recover. This is a good way to sort of let yourself calm down, get your breathing back, get your heart rate back to base. So we're going to go onto the floor for the next exercise in a dish position. So in this position, we're going to be legs straight out in front of us and arms above our head. So like the previous episodes, we're just trying to make this a little bit harder each time. If we're being strict, I'm really trying to point my toes, because I think that's quite good for form. Back to the one arm hangs. So far, we're almost one round through, and you're starting to hit all of those body parts once again, but use this time to try and calm down your breathing and focus just on working your forearms, keeping good form all the time, and try and recover your heart rate at the same time while still working this muscle group alone. This is really, really good practice for real climbing. So the next exercise, what we're going to do is doing rows on here with one arm. But this time what we're going to do is twist down and then go as high as we can. 15 seconds on each arm. If you've got a ceiling here, then you can just go for your elbow to the ceiling, but really try and twist down. And we're switching it halfway again. And after this exercise, we're going to go straight to the two arm hangs. So once again, I'm getting my breathing back. I'm getting a little bit of forearm pump now, but not too much. I've done a lot more fitness climbing than I have general fitness recently, so the forearms are fit, the body is not. But this is a great time during this particular home training period where it's good to be able to try and get your general fitness up till the rest of the training season. So the next exercise is going to be in a press-up position, and we're going to do thread the needle on the floor. So that is going under your arm, stretching right up, and you're going to do 15 seconds on each arm. Once again, we're trying not to collapse down here. We're trying to keep nice and strong and twist around the shoulder for a big range of motion, and the same on the other arm. Okay, back to 90. 3 lock off. That is one of my favorite exercises for shoulder health. If you start to improve at this and you feel like you can push it a little bit more, you can hold a small weight as well. And it was really good exercise to try and strengthen around that shoulder girdle. So the next exercise we're going to do is a lunge, but it's going to be a side-to-side lunge. This is going to be really good for weighted mobility as well. So nice wide position, and we're going to stretch down and up. The key thing I'm trying to do here is really focus on this position and tensing my quad. And what you should feel is a really good stretch on the inside of your leg. You want to make sure that you're keeping the heel of the bent leg on the ground, and your knee is going to follow your toe each time. So body upright, knee follow the toe. Body upright, knee follow the toe. And then back to 2 arm hangs. So the last exercise is something that I love doing, but is a really hard workout. So we're gonna go into a Spider-Man plank. So I'm probably not gonna be able to breathe throughout this one, or talk I should say. So it's a slight variation of the Superman plank, but much, much harder. It's obviously Spider-Man's better. So we're gonna go onto the ground in 3, 2, 1. Wide hand position, wide foot position. And we're gonna try and hold this as low as possible. So if we're really pushing it, you're gonna try and go super, super low to the ground. But this kind of depends a little bit on how much friction you have on the floor and also how much time you have to hold this position. So if we wanna go pushing it, nice and low. Oh, thank God. Okay, back to the 1 arm hangs. Once again, this is the rest period now. Even though it's still part of your training, I'm working my forearms a bit, but only to an okay level. Doing the rest of the workouts when you're pushing your body quite a lot. So that's 1 time all the way through. So next one is doing those hanging leg raises again off the bar. So bent legs, up, and then straighten. Once again, try and keep your toes nice and pointed out in front of you and shoulders engaged throughout the whole time that you're doing this exercise. Okay, 2 arm hang again. So now you're probably starting to feel this general fatigue kicking in. And it's amazing how much this can build up in your forearms despite the rest of your body working much harder. But once again, just try and relax, keep breathing, and you keep that intensity nice and low. So press up typewriters, so repeating that exercise next. So to the ground for press ups. What we're gonna do, down one side and up the other. If you want to make this a little bit harder, you can lift one leg off the ground the whole time, like Tom did in the previous episode, or you can go down, across, and then up, so slow it down. But obviously, form is the key thing here. 1 arm hangs. And switch. So on the next set of 1 arm hangs, that's what I'm going to tell you how to win the competition in those great bits of clothing. So next exercise, lunge split squats. And go. So nice and wide, straightening that back leg. Really push, upright body, and you should feel a stretch down your hip flexors and your quad. And switch. This one might seem quite easy, but this will be the one that gives you DOMs tomorrow. So it's one of the questions we get quite a lot is whether to change grip positions frequently throughout longer sessions. And I would generally say it's okay to do, but when you're coming on and off of a fingerboard this quickly, it's always best to do something that's quite secure and try and make sure to chalk up throughout. So 90-degree lock-offs. Once again, most of the weight on the right side, and then switch every 5 seconds. Kicking your legs just to make sure that you're going to keep nice straight body and good form throughout. Also gives you a good rhythm as well to work with. So for winning the competition, we're actually looking to try and make a couple of funny bits of clothing, either or mugs or items for Christmas. So what we'd like to see in the comments below is who can come up with the best Christmas Lattice themed joke or slogan that we can use on some of our merchandise as a joke for Christmas. Try and keep the jokes relatively clean, but the funniest one will win with the most likes. Car phrases next. So we're looking to see you commenting on the video below with one of your slogans or comedy jokes, and make sure that we are looking for something that is funny, but also Christmas and Lattice themed. Whoever gets the most likes will win. Once again, focusing on the ball of my foot, doing little squats throughout, trying to keep my heel as high as possible. This is actually a little bit better in bare feet, if you can do that. So now I'm starting to build up a good level of pump, and this is a really good sort of marginal power endurance aero cap workout for my forearms, which is a really, really good time to get it in, because doing it on its own can be a little bit boring sometimes. So next one, we're going onto the floor again for a dish position with straight arms and legs. So straight legs, straight arms above the head. So you probably wonder why this one's a dish rather than a hollow body. So a hollow body is more open like this, whilst a dish is more weight going through your glutes, and it's just a little bit more balance based, and it's slightly different muscle groups in work. This is definitely the nicest part of the workout, isn't it? Where relaxing, one arm gets to rest, just one forearm in pain, and the rest of the body's okay. We're still looking for 7 or 8 out of 10 though, so it's putting in a bit of effort, but it's not going to be anything which is stressing the fingers too much. It's more general forearm fatigue that we're feeling now. So next exercise is a twist row, hanging from the bar again, twisting right down, and then up as high as you can. And switch. This is probably the best exercise that anyone who's interested in ice climbing or dry tooling that you can do. And it's also a really good workout for anyone who's really interested in steep climbing. Something that I used to do quite a lot with some of the people I work with, and also myself, is if you're training for anywhere with a lot of pockets or steep climbing, you can do that same movement on a fingerboard with your hand in either a good pocket or a good hold, and still working that same movement, which is really realistic of climbing. So next exercise we're going to do is twist it, thread the needle. So those press up position. Nice strong shoulders, reaching underneath and all the way up. Like I said before, this is one of my favorite exercises for shoulder health, so I really recommend doing it if you can hold a weight in this hand that's working. And it can be quite a heavy weight. You can really get good strong shoulders and mobile ones, because you're opening the chest up every time that you're reaching over the top. Back to one arm hangs. So you probably noticed that I'm not actually chalked up yet, and I actually feel okay at the moment. That's why I've been all right with doing it, because I've got this nice wooden fingerboard. But if your fingerboard is somewhere around the house that starts to get a little bit slippy, try and make sure you've got some chalk that's really easy to grab. So side to side lunges next. Nice wide position, down and then up. Really tensing the straight leg, trying to get a good stretch out of it as well. This is another one of those exercises, like those front split squats that we did at the start. It's great for building mobility, and it actually gives you a lot more fatigue than you might think. So try not to do too many of these if you're going to climb afterwards. So we're gonna go to the final exercise, which will be that Spider-Man position. And I really want you to go for it this time, going as low as possible. I'm gonna try and keep my nose to the ground the whole time. And we're gonna try and make sure that we're going as low as possible and trying as hard as we can. Okay, last one, Spider-Man. Oh, I hope you can understand that I'm trying as hard as you are at home. That is the end of another 20-minute workout. Once again, we're trying to work the entire body. And hopefully that's going to really make the difference for if you're not able to get to a climbing wall or train as normal. And you can enjoy doing it alongside us. And we can all go home, all actually relax now and sit on the sofa and have a break. Well done, guys, and we'll see you very soon.